There we go. What's going on, guys? Good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you so very much. Raj, my guy, good to see you, and good luck tonight, man. You gonna go slap that ball around, have some fun. Wicked stuff. Let's get into it. I know you are limited on time. I appreciate you for being here. Gonna cue this up and splash this right away. Let's go. Okay. Poor intro, but this is part three of my interview with Mark Sargent. So it's the third time we chatted, and yeah, we're gonna talk about the whole theory of flat Earth and stuff. Let's go. So, Admiral Byrd, Operation High Jump.
Yeah.
I took in your piece where you talked about the fact that he was well equipped
Right.
and had the funding and was able to make the trip.
Right.
Now, the from you what you know of what happened on that trip to the Arctic, if you can.
The rumor. You got a little bit of the backstory in that Antarctica was still a very hostile place environmentally for, ever.
Yeah.
It's just a horrible, awful place.
Right.
And people were doing exploring. Admiral Byrd went down there in 1927. And
47. Oh wait,
no,
was it first
27.
trip?
He
Okay,
was
so it was.
oh yeah, no, we been down there for we were down there for decades before
Okay.
World War II.
Okay.
And then because he went to the again he in 1926 he went to the North Pole supposedly,
Okay.
and that whole diary journey to the center of the earth thing.
Well,
And
okay.
you would have thought if that was true, regardless if it was true or not, you'd think you'd stay there. If you found something really, really cool at the North Pole, you just keep going to the North Pole. It's like, no, no, no. You're going to be spending basically the rest of your life in Antarctica.
Okay. Here's where I'm gonna. Okay, this is where I'm gonna take over because I think I need to just ask questions at this point.
Sure. Yeah.
Operation High Jump. What took place in 47?
Okay.
Was
So after,
he went to the Arctic or the
yeah, so
Antarctic?
in Antarctica in the 20s, he went to the Arctic, and he was flying around, and the United States Navy was basically looking for something
Okay.
ever since the 1920s.
Okay.
And then they took a break during World War II
Right.
because it was World War II. Everyone left the ice except for exactly one country,
Okay.
Nazi Germany.
Okay.
Nazi Germany was there in World War during World War II. It's like, why would Nazi Germany?
Right.
The whole Indiana Jones thing with the Nazis wasn't wrong. They were one of those countries that believed, and honestly, it's all's fair in love and war, and that is if there was anything they could find in the world that could help them win the war, whether it be Frodo's ring or one of the wands from Harry Potter or whatever it is, they're going to go after it.
Right.
Which is why the whole Ark of the Covenant story in the first Indiana Jones is like, look,
Right.
can it help us win the war? Sure, go after it. Send troops. So something was down there in Antarctica, and this was not fiction. They were down there in Antarctica during World War II. Why, we don't know. So after the surrender of the Japanese, after the Tokyo surrender ceremony, they immediately put Byrd into a carrier group and sent him to Antarctica, called Operation High Jump.
Okay. This was
And
47, right?
46 or 47, and I'd
Because
have to
World
look
War
it up.
II. It's okay. I mean, from my
World War II
understanding,
ends in 1945 after
45.
Hiroshima and
And okay.
Nagasaki.
Okay.
And so, but they sent down a full blown carrier group. I mean, support ships, 5,000 troops, the whole shooting match.
Okay.
And the story goes there's the official story, which is it was just done for research purposes. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
you want to send that much military equipment to Antarctica after World War II? You think a lot of these guys want to go home? That's fine. The unofficial story is that they ran into an advanced civilization that did not want them going any further down in Antarctica. That was the most popular rumor, that some our military was pushed back, hard by whoever was down there. The story that I like, however,
Well,
is the story that I'm most fond of is that they were down there to root out the last of the Nazi bases, and the Germans asked this other civilization for asylum, and they said, "Hey, can we, but asylum, has strings attached.
Right.
And this other civilization treated it as such. Something to the effect of, fine, we will grant you asylum, but you can't come back. Meaning it's like like a high school dance, right?
Yeah.
Once you leave the gym,
Yeah. That's
you
it.
can't go,
You're done. Admission
you
is
can't,
done. You can't come back.
yeah, you can't come back because obviously, you don't want the Nazi Germany to show up years later. Hence the movie Iron Sky, which did not do well in the States for very obvious reasons.
Okay. Question.
So yeah,
Have you ever taken in the piece of his recount of his audio journal?
birds,
Yeah,
maybe. Why?
there because what I did was last week I did a piece on my show where I started off with your piece on Admiral Byrd,
Yeah,
and then I led into a piece that my buddy shared on YouTube, which is his flight log, his audio recount of the flight log.
right,
Now, what's interesting, the flight log is he talks about going beneath the crust
right.
and meeting with a high master from the Arianni inner Earth
Oh yeah, yeah,
race,
yeah. Yep.
right?
Oh, this would have been the 1926 expedition at the North Pole.
Oh, so this has been the 26 expedition.
Yep. He was the
Okay,
first
now,
one to go there. Yeah.
the further to that, he identifies flying saucers with swastikas on them, right?
Might have been a mix scene, but possibly. Sure,
Okay,
why not?
but hold on. But the background on the swastika is the swastika perversion to the Hawken Cruise. The Hawken Cruise was the with the Nazis,
Right.
but the swastika in Eastern culture, even now, is actually like part of, I believe it's Hinduism, I think.
Yeah, it's Hinduism. Yeah,
Right.
right.
So I mean, the whole idea of there being flying saucers with swastikas on them in the 20s with relation to these Ariani race, like we have this whole idea of there being an additional life form. And I'm totally okay with that because we're in God's house, right? I mean, in God's house, there are many rooms, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I want to park, though, is the idea that he went to a place that was north. My question is, and that this hole that he went to,
Mm-hmm.
right, where there was a transition from outer Earth to inner Earth, this
Right.
hole,
Right.
right,
Right.
north. Is this the penetration point? Because in the very same, I don't know if you saw the drawing of the map that he gave where he showed his entry point and then he identified the sun, the inner Earth sun,
Right.
right? This is where I start to wonder about the sun, this inner Earth sun, above it becoming Polaris, Polaris being a refractor ping-pongy within our prism that creates the sun and the moon, which is why I kind of, yeah.
Why you've got the Aurora Borealis behind you? Nice touch. The yeah, and I like it. I like it. I've heard that theory, which is and it makes a lot more sense if the sun is very very small. If
51
like
kilometers in diameter, both of
yeah,
them.
yeah. If that's the case, then sure. Why the heck not?
Okay, and that's Mark. This is what I'm following, and this is so. My question to you is:
Yeah.
have you taken in Vibes of the Cosmos or Vibes of Cosmos's work here on YouTube, or when I say here on YouTube? Sorry.
Did you? Are you the second person to mention that to me today?
This is why we're talking about it. Okay, so Admiral Byrd. Here's the thing, and again, I'm building a story, right? And
Right.
I just want to identify that there's a hole in the north. Yeah, there's a hole in the north, right?
Yes.
Which there is,
Yes.
right? There's
Right.
a transitionary point from outer Earth to inner Earth, right?
It doesn't have to be very big, but yes,
Right.
there is a hole. Yeah.
It's God's design. It can be
Right.
pinpointed hole. It just works,
Right.
right? Now, I believe Black Hole Sun, Soundgarden, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Cornell knew about the children. Never mind. Transition point, right? Hits the crust. Polaris is up top, right?
Sure.
And I believe through God's design, the firmament, right, is a refractory type of prism, if you will, that creates like the sun and the moon are actually reflections.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, you bet. I wouldn't doubt that at all. There's been a number of people that have suggested that, mostly because of the whole magnifying glass effect, which is, if you take a magnifying
Yeah,
glass to
yeah,
sunlight,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it.
and you pinpoint it on something, that pinpoint is extremely bright,
Right,
very, very bright. It's tough to look at, and it's,
right,
why wouldn't it be? I mean, you're magnifying sunlight,
right.
and it's so, in fact, it's so bright you can actually burn whatever it is that's there. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, um, this leads me back to and when it where I started also leading into the idea of environmental gases and the idea that the sun is an igniter, right?
Mm.
So the sun just ignites the gases in the atmosphere, makes them active,
Yep,
right? And so, for instance, I go to the beach, I stand in front of the sun, the gases in front of me become active due to the igniter being the sun,
yep,
right? And I get tan, just like you open up an oven, you see the waves coming out, same idea,
sure.
kind of roughly.
But Bob from Globebusters, I
Excuse
know,
me.
was big on that for a while. He was into the whole gases thing,
Okay.
and it makes sense. I like it because the also here, which is different from other places, is that there are things that are lit up even though the sun's not directly on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Meaning, you should have a perfect blackness shadow,
Right.
and not to transition over into simulations, but
That's
when
okay.
we do simulations, uh, people forget that in our earlier simulations, the sky was just light or dark. There was
Right.
no sun or moon
Right.
at all. It was just this, we can make the sky whatever light or dark. And so why wouldn't this place have the same sort of properties?
Right.
No.
Okay. So the next idea, and again, I feel like this is a special episode for me because obviously, like you're not recording it, so it's kind of like
Oh yeah, no, it's
my
fine.
little secret because to bounce these ideas off of you really are because I've been theory crafting this for the last like 3-4 weeks.
Okay.
No, not even theory crafting. That would be the wrong thing because I'm just taking the idea and I'm just applying it to better understand it, if that makes sense. Yeah, that
Fine.
makes sense. Um, have you seen these telescopic images where the planets appear to be this shimmery type
Oh
of?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The idea of seven firmaments, again, in Genesis, the reference point being God created the heavens with an S,
Right.
right? Seven heavens, each of those heavens containing one of those shimmery types of pinholes, right?
Sure.
Refracted image, what appears to be, we could even further expunge, expound, whatever.
Hmm.
I believe those firmaments to be almost like Star Trek, right? The reflector, the choo choo choo, and the beams go
Yeah.
or activate the shields. Yeah, the shields come up,
Yeah.
right? And each of those firmaments contain one refractory planet, quote unquote. Last one
Sure.
being Saturn. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. Again, I like it. Why wouldn't I?
That's
Sure.
okay. All right. Again, I'm not. There's never a point where I'm obviously holding a gun to your head or anything like
No,
that
no,
and saying,
no, no,
"Mark,
no.
identified with me. I'm taking
How,
it to the
how
bank."
could
Like,
how
no,
could I
right,
how could I shoot that down? When it comes to the sky, there is so much stuff we don't know.
right,
Most of the stuff we don't know. Ground stuff we're pretty good at.
right.
Up in the sky though, it's just everything's up for grabs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um.
some good out of the box thinking.
Well, it's not out of the box. There's no strat. I can't. There's no way I can do that. It's just more of it's again the vibes of the cosmos, understanding what they kind of put in front, and I'm just kind of taking it and like understanding what's in front. Now,
Right.
the whole reference point I took in your piece, selling fireworks,
Ah, yeah, yeah.
and the Fed showed up.
Oh yeah, my
Eat the pie, damn it!
my collegiate years were very different from most people. there's what university life should be, and then there's what I did because I was bored. And yeah, I'm lucky, honestly. And I've told people, I go, it's good that I did it when I did, because 10 years later, After the whole 9/11 thing. Oh yeah, that would have been a whole different story. They back then though, in the early 90s, they treated everything fairly light. But it was yeah. What that story is absolutely true.
That's
Absolutely
hilarious.
true.
I had a good laugh about that. It was me
Oh,
chuckling.
thanks.
Eat the pie, damn it. Um, where's it gonna go with that? Oh my goodness. So the idea of us being hit by a flying rock.
Right.
The I
You
was
mean
explaining
currently? You mean all the warnings that we get every month?
well, I was explaining the what comets, asteroids, they're like just fireworks in the sky,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I believe, like, you said, again, I'm just taking what I've kind of collected on vibes and just bouncing them around.
Yeah.
But like you set rubbing alcohol as an example out on the sidewalk, it disappears, right? It
Right.
evaporates, it goes into the atmosphere, it gets collected, you fart, methane goes up in the
Yeah. Yeah. All
you know,
these things. Yeah, they
they
rise
get
supposedly.
collected
Yeah.
and eventually ignited, right? And is it just that we're looking at this ignited firework going across the sky?
It's some of it, sure. Some of it's probably artificial. Some of it's probably just a light show.
Right.
No different than Laser Floyd, on a weekend at a planetarium. What always got me, what sunk into me is once I was doing this for a number of years,
Right.
that there's 6 billion smartphones in the world. More people have smartphones than have running water,
Right.
and yet
That's
everything is filmed. Everything is caught on camera. Everything that can be caught is caught on camera. Every not everything, obviously, but instances of just about every example you can think of, and yet we don't have a single image of a meteor hitting with impact of any size anywhere in any country. Doesn't matter if it's land or water. Remember, 3/4 of the world is supposedly water. You'd think it's some fishing boat would catch some of this in water, or at least catch it after the fact, and say, "Oh, hey, look, a meteor just this, yeah, big splash. We just missed it." Nothing,
no.
absolutely nothing. And that fact, and let's take that one step further. We have those regular. I don't want to screw up the pronunciation. Is it Perseus, or one of the meteor showers that like comes every year?
Versus, I believe so.
I think so. And yet no satellites are ever retasked to get out of the way of this thing, even though they're absolutely going through satellite orbit, at that
Mm,
at that altitude.
right.
And plus, once they release the thing that got me again, because the average person just does not understand things that should happen, laws of averages, percentages, the
That,
odds. I'm a
yeah.
huge stats nut guy, and there's like
Me
I could have worked
too.
in
The
I could
numbers
have
can't lie.
the numbers they don't tell the whole story, but they don't lie.
Yeah.
And in fact, I could have worked in the insurance agency industry at some point because
Yeah.
the numbers just fascinate me.
Yeah.
And that is, if you ever saw the movie Gravity with Sandra Bullock, right? The whole premise of that movie, the premise, you might as well just watch the first 10 minutes and throw away the rest of the movie, which is she and George Clooney are on the space, shuttle or station or wherever it was, and a satellite at some point went off course, crashed into another satellite, which crashed and it turned into a domino effect, and there's just this wall of jagged metal that is coming their way, right? It
Yeah.
rips everything apart, and it's
Yeah.
a big story of survival. And then it was like, it all of a sudden dawns on you. It's like, wait, hasn't this happened already by
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Odds, you can't tell me that every satellite has, if they're real, has been kept absolutely on track, no matter what country it is, no matter what size, no matter what age, and at no point, I mean, all the satellites just go and then just go straight down,
Yeah.
right? No satellite careens into another one,
Perfect
and then,
ballet.
because once that starts, this is what I'm trying to get to anyone listening. Once that starts, that's it. It's game over. Right? That all the satellites, law of averages, meaning, they will cover the entire sky eventually, and all satellites will become disabled.
Right.
And we never ever see that. We never ever. You've never find me a story where it's like, oh, the NBC satellite 4 just got taken out
Take it out.
by a rock or another satellite or something like that. It's never happened. That meteor shower that comes every year, you'd think television stations be scrambling. But no, the memo, it's like, don't worry about it. It's not a thing. 'Cause what is it, and why is it not a thing? Why is it not a thing? Anyway, so
No,
yeah.
that makes perfect sense. As you say, law of averages, there's such a fine science to launching a rocket,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And all
Set
these
and
calculations, everything that take place.
science kids, they don't even want to address it. It's like, well, it just doesn't happen. It's like, do you know how improbable that is? That it's
Yeah,
never ever happened. Find me a satellite that's gotten taken out. You go forget about the rocks,
right.
and also don't forget that the whole micrometeor thing that goes into the ISS, which drove me nuts. Which is you could have a micrometeor the size of a nickel punch through the ISS, and that's it because all the doors are completely open all the way through it. It should be like a submarine, where they close hatches and spin wheels and everything should be sealed. It's like, nope, they're just flying around their khakis and their
Yeah,
socks and their short sleeve shirts.
everything's hunky dory.
Micrometeor goes through, they're all dead instantly. And
Yeah,
it's like, and people like, and it's like, because it should have happened already, but it
yeah.
hasn't. And not only that, but no one's scared ever. Sorry, one more thing. Like, I want one more thing.
Please embellish.
While we're going on fear, the
False
astronauts
evidence appearing real.
the astronauts never are afraid of anything ever. And yeah, I understand the whole pilots thing. Pilots, they're trained like, oh well, we're cruising at 30,000 feet. But when things go bad, you can tell the amped up in their
Buddy.
voice.
Yeah,
When you're on the moon,
yeah.
right? It's very
It's
few.
so far away.
When you're on the moon, the only thing that would be on any, I don't care if they're military officers or not, the only thing that's on their mind is not dying.
Not dying.
Meaning
Survival of the
moving
fittest.
real slow, and the part that bugged me so much in like my first couple of years of doing this was, you know what you never heard about ever in their transmissions. And you can scour through transmissions. It's like how much air you have left. Scuba divers are absolutely notorious for this, which is scuba divers check their tanks constantly. It's like, yeah,
Religiously.
I got 17 minutes, I got
Yeah,
12 minutes, I got 9 minutes. And when you get to a certain point,
yeah,
they're out of there.
yeah.
They're like, they have to leave.
Peace.
At no point do you ever hear an astronaut say, "Oh, we got 15 minutes there left. Better start heading
We've
back to
got
the."
20,000 gallons left. We should be good for another week there, boys.
Yeah, no one ever checks their. It was like they had unlimited air at all times, and
Yeah.
no one questioned it. And not only that, but that no one. It was never referenced. It's like, shouldn't there be a limited amount of air in the capsule? Not to mention your backpacks, and how do you refresh those things? Because we're talking about scuba tanks. On top of it, you have nitrogen and oxygen. Nobody ever. Uh,
Yeah,
it's just
so again. I took in that other piece that you just uploaded with respects to the whole fake space station or the fake
oh, isn't that a great
space
little
mission. Oh, for
thing?
sure, they had them all fooled up. They went to the
Yeah,
local junkyard and purchased what they needed to.
yeah. So to do a quick summary of that for anyone, which is, it's not just that they convinced people that there was a fake space program that existed. They convinced people that they were in that space program.
Yeah,
They convinced 9 people, and yeah, they only had to choose 3 to get in the simulator because, well, it was like it was a contest, right?
yep,
But they could have put all 9 of them in there,
yep.
and they would have all believed it, hook, line. They faked Mission Impossible style that these people were in space,
It's awesome.
and they bought it, and they did it for less than $5 million.
Yep,
Well, £5 million, so $7 million, but that's not a lot of money. And so
right.
when I hear that NASA gets $55 million a day, and their production value, I mean, these guys did it better than they did, way better than they did. And yeah, there were a couple problems here and there. But they covered as well as they could. The key was, of course, to have a couple actors mixed in.
Right, and it helped prod it. Help
Yeah, it
prod the
helped. So if
plot.
anyone had any doubts, it's like, no,
No,
man,
no,
we're
no.
out, we're on track.
Place.
Your doubts are unfounded. But yeah, it was an amazing show, and it never, they never made an American version of it for obvious reasons. And they say, oh, it was low ratings, that's why, we couldn't do it anymore. No, I think it hit too close to home is what happened. Is you
Right.
convince these people, not again, convincing, if you can convince people that they're actually in space, imagine what you could do on television. Just what you
Okay,
could show people.
you did exactly what I wanted. Well, not what I wanted.
What?
So 47. So wait, 20. When did Admiral Byrd go the first time?
His North Pole was 26.
26. But when he actually apparently met with the Arianni race in Inner Earth.
Well, it's just tough to say. It was in the 20s, though, definitely.
Okay, so 20s. Okay, and then we have World War II in 45 that ended in 45, and then we have Operation High Jump, which took place in 47,
Yep.
and apparently they got chased out of there
Yeah.
by the
An advanced.
spaceships
Yeah.
with swastikas on them, and half of his crew made it back, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Okay,
There was a
then
lot of classified there. Yeah.
a lot of classified, and then he passes away in 59, and then that's the year that the race to space started, isn't it?
Close enough. Hang on. He died actually. I think. Hang on. Admiral. When did Admiral Byrd die? He died in 57. So close enough.
57. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, he died right after that the Operation Deep Freeze, which was 55 to 56.
So
That was
wait
his
a
last
minute.
mission.
Operation Defreeze.
Yeah, yeah, that
Dark.
was what?
You planted a seed. See if you can let me know a little bit more off this top. I'll research this more. Operation
Oh, okay.
Defreeze.
So Operation Deep Freeze was the mission that happened right after his last big television appearance was the Longines chronoscope, the thing I put in the clues where he's on the 60 minutes of the day and they're talking to him about Antarctica and he's saying, all this stuff. And that was in 54. And during that he had his advanced scout teams figuring out what the next mission was going to be. They were already down in Antarctica and they were going to wait for him. He was the the big front man of it. So he goes down in the very next year in 55, and it was his last mission called Operation Deep Freeze.
Okay.
And we don't know much about it other than it was just a routine, just keeps flying around. Remember, it was mostly flights. Flying around Antarctica. Look, remember, they were looking for the better part of 30 years for something out there.
Right.
And whatever they found, that's when everything changed. Operation Deep Freeze changed their path. Meaning, right after that, that's when all of a sudden they started making moves. Meaning, when they got back from, he died in 57. NASA was founded in 58. The Antarctic Treaty was put in place in 59. The Van Allen radiation belts were announced in 59. And everything started, that's when it's like, okay, we have to put things in place now to make sure that further exploration, we have a complete handle. We're in front of it, no matter what it is.
Okay. So just hang on to that for a quick second.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken that piece, or maybe you just know it offhand, but there is the reference point of the firmament being defined at a certain year in the, I believe, the Encyclopedia Britannica?
I believe that was in the 50s as well, but I've heard stuff going back earlier than that. And
no. Don't know. What I'm saying is the latest piece, I believe, was the 50s that we had written documentation of some edification. We have 10 minutes left.
Okay.
But we do have the edification of the firmament as late as the 50s. This is what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
So my the point that I'm making or drawing to is that I'm going to call it Operation Mandela Effect, Planet Earth, right, started in 1957 with the death of Admiral Byrd.
Sure.
Because I feel like that was the last guy that really knew stuff about stuff.
And and did he die peacefully from a heart attack in his home? I don't know. He was too liberal in his choice of verbiage when he was on camera.
Yeah.
He liked being on camera. He wasn't a big egomaniac, but he was the guy. Right, he was the greatest living explorer. So
he seemed a little restricted though in his interview.
Well, he tried. Thing was, he backpedaled. So when he, for example, when he said, "We're pretty sure," again, it's on camera, it's live television. When he goes, "Well, I'm pretty sure there's uranium down there. We don't want to, get in trouble." It's like he goes, and then he's like, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have been talking about that." It's like, oh boy, if you're watching, if you're the agency and you're watching this, and you're like, sooner or later he's going to say something he really, really shouldn't be talking about. And so, who knows?
Right.
I mean, you got to remember, I'll give you a quick little story real fast, which is there was the follow-up story to Admiral Byrd going to the North Pole was Charles Lindbergh. because he was also a big explorer, big flyer. And Charles Lindbergh supposedly, if you should look this up if you get a chance,
Okay.
also want to do a follow up. And it's like, yeah, I heard the rumors what happened at the North Pole. I'm going. So he goes with his wife, and they take a whole bunch of snapshots. They brought cameras, and they're taking all sorts of pictures up there. And they get back, and this is a guy that had ties to the government, and he's like, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. I think we should move forward with this. And it's like, no, you're not going to show anyone those pictures. You're not going to talk about this. You're not going to do anything along those lines. And he's like, or what? He's like, I'm Charles Lindbergh. I'm a national treasure. What are you going to do? And shortly after that, out of nowhere, for no apparent reason, was the Lindbergh baby story. And if you look at the follow-up story, I think the pieces match a little bit, which was after that, he was so bent out of shape that he renounced America entirely and moved to Europe and never looked back. So, yeah.
Holy smoke! Well, I mean, we know they take control when they need to take
Yeah,
control,
yeah,
and
and
they
so even though Byrd was a very high, admiral in the Navy, doesn't matter. The greater good is the greater good.
right.
And so in his case, yeah, you're right. Things changed after he died. After he died, amazingly, right after he died, all those things happened. Within 2 years, everything was locked down. 58, NASA was founded, and then 59, the Antarctic Treaty and the Van Allen radiation belts, and that was the beginning of the big lockdown.
So 1960 to
Yeah.
2022,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
basically 62 years of
Yeah.
brainwashing is what has led us to people fighting as to whether or not we're on a blue marble versus a plateau.
Yeah. And that's 3 generations,
That
almost.
didn't take long.
No, that doesn't take long.
You
And
literally had the earth stole from
Stolen.
beneath you.
Yeah,
Stolen
and
from beneath you in 62 years. It's
yeah,
not even
and
the
but
lifespan of a grandfather.
yeah, I tell people don't feel bad because I go, it wasn't you that fell for it. I go,
Shut up,
this
sure.
very nice. I go, this predates your, it was your father and your father's father, and going back to the globe conditioning, going back further than most people's family trees.
Right.
So we were born into the deception.
Interesting.
Hmm.
All right. So with 5 minutes left,
Yeah.
what's the one thing that's on your mind?
Right now, currently, what's happening in the world?
Yeah.
The next show that I'm doing, believe it or not, I mean, as much as it's not necessarily flat Earth related. I'm a big believer in that people, the public is the, oh crap, hang on. Wow, that was loud. There was a phone call coming in. I'm a big believer that there's always people in the know, and the public always are the last people to find out things.
Right.
And so our state, for whatever was the first ones, we have now been converting the gas pumps from 3 digits to 4 digits. And you're thinking, that's not even a big deal. It's like, yeah, that costs money. I mean, like we're not only the first state, but there's a station there's 3 miles right from here to the gas station, and they're converting them to 4 digits. And that goes back to somebody's meeting where they're looking at the prices. It's like, yeah, our projections are going to go blah, blah, blah. And then somebody at the end of the table goes, well, what happens when it hits $9.99? Do we have a contingency for that? And all of a sudden everyone kind of looks around. It's like, no. And then somebody says, well, we got to swap out the 3-digit counters, which we've had for decades, right? And then and then somebody says, well, maybe we should wait until, it's like, well, according to the chart, it's going to be a question of when. And so it's like, well, let's do it now. Let's start doing it now.
Like,
so the next show is literally going to be called the last 4 digits, which I thought was kind of a little play on words there, because we asked about our last.
So where do you do your stuff, Mark? Where do we find you in the interwebs?
Oh yeah. The easiest way, and don't just look at my stuff. Type in Flat Earth Mark. That's the easiest way to find me. Just Google Flat Earth Mark. You will find my stuff. I'm on just about every I'm everywhere.
No, I
You'll be able
know
to
that
find me.
you're everywhere, but your actual show that
Oh,
you,
Strange World.
yeah.
Strange World. Just go into YouTube, type in Flat Earth Mark, and you'll see Strange World. Strange World's there. I do a show every week, and I'm gonna do this one Tuesday where I'm kind of talking about what's been happening. I've been
Okay.
focusing on Europe, but this week I'm focusing on the fact that the pumps down the street were closed for a day while they were swapping out those instrument panels, and it's like,
And a
why
gas
would
station being closed for a day is a lot of money
yeah,
lost
that's a
too.
lot of money. And
Yeah.
again, why are you swapping them out now? Why wouldn't you wait? And it's because people, it's like, well, you don't want to be that station that has to close because you'll lose more money if you have to close when it's like
More
nine.
expensive.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
9.50 a gallon and all of a sudden it jumps up and your pumps can't handle it, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're losing out.
Right.
You're losing out big. So all these, again, people in the know behind the scenes are like, yeah, yeah, start changing them out now.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why is something going to happen? No, no, no.
What are you
Just
not
start.
telling
Yeah,
us?
just change them.
Well,
I mean,
because I mean,
this is a big deal. People don't understand how big a deal this
yeah.
is.
Well, here
When
in
you have
Canada, we're at one no two oh five, I think.
a
So we
leader,
can, yeah. So we can go up to 99 or 999.
oh yeah, you're already converted.
We can just roll through. We just have to change the decimal, maybe. I don't know, but holy,
Well,
it
look at
blows my
when you get a
mind.
chance, look at your thing. You know, when you press, you know, what grade, 87, 89, or 92, is that three digits or four?
Oh no, listen, our stuff is digital. I take the bus though, so
Oh, okay.
I'm way different. I ride by and I look at this thing on
We
the sign. I'm like,
America is one of the only countries in the world that still does gallons. In fact, it's amazing. I think we're the only people that only does gallons. And for whatever reason, and it is talk about your foreshadowing, which is and what I mean is you companies don't take this lightly. I know we're running out of time, which is companies don't take this lightly. Meaning, if it costs money, it's like, well, you know, even there's a doubt. It's like, well, we're never going to hit $10 even in the next 5 years. No, that's not the discussion that was being had. The
yeah,
discussion was being had. It's like, yeah, we got to do this right now. It's like, what? Why would you say that?
Mark.
Anyway,
Thank you so much for the time today, my friend. It's always a pleasure chatting with you and throwing the
thank
ball
you.
around, man. Thank you so much for being so open. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful evening. Enjoy
All
your
right.
weekend.
All right, you too.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.